Look at this Chiron. Trump baselessly claims Harris has cognitive problems. Baselessly claims. Why? I don't even understand that, Chiron. I don't even understand why they're giving airtime to this about Trump claiming that Kamala Harris has cognitive problems. Like, what the is CNN doing? It's like Trump claims aliens are shooting out of Kamala Harris's ass. Would they actually ask her about that? I'm serious, dude. This though is what I'm talking about, where some of the news media will sane wash. It's like the sign of a greater issue that some of the news media has been engaging in and continues to gauge in around the political campaigning and around Donald Trump, where they continuously allow him to be in cognitive decline, to give answers that have no substance, to lie, to refuse to answer questions, to generally be a mentally defective douchebag. And they never really hold him accountable for any of that behavior, while simultaneously elevating his nonsense to some level of actual relevance. And to me, that's super problematic. Some of the news media's behavior is just consistently problematic.
42 days until Election Day. Voting has already started in some parts of the country. Vice President Kamala Harris is targeting the 7 battleground states with this TV ad.
I'll lower the cost of insulin and prescription drugs for everyone, and I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food. More than 100 million Americans will get a tax cut.
This ad attempts to be a fairly straightforward presentation in answering the question of how exactly she would address the cost of living crisis.
Did you see what he says there? This ad attempts? You even see the language they're using?
Not always been the case in some of these more unscripted moments that we've heard from the candidate herself in interviews with CNN's Dana Bash or the Philadelphia's Channel 6 or Oprah. Harris has been asked to outline some specific things she would do to help working people pay for things if elected. And each time she began, well, take a listen.
When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward.
See, here's what I don't like. Instantaneously, what they're doing is they're literally saying, here, let's show the shit we think she says that disqualifies her, essentially. That's what CNN is doing here. But when Trump goes on a 2-minute ramble and says nothing, they're like, oh, Trump outlined his economic plan. Meanwhile, he's talking about sharks and fucking batteries, bro.
Forward.
This is so slanted.
My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. Yours is a story I hear around.
In each of these instances, she gave specific answers, but they're showing the part where she's like humanizing herself as though it's a bad thing.
The country as I travel. And
it's crazy, dude.
In terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family.
In some cases, it has taken nearly 2 minutes before Vice President Harris actually arrives at describing her policies. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is here with us to discuss. Do you think she needs to be presenting more meat on the bones of, I get that she's from a middle-class family. It's great. And I get that she feels people's pains. Great.
What I don't get, is that they allow Trump to never have a point. Exactly. She does arrive at a point. Trump never arrives at a point. But we're going to sit here and have a discussion about Kamala Harris not giving her point strong enough. Dude, I literally want to get in the ring with Jake Tapper, bro. I do, dude. He needs dude, what the is he doing?
But what about, like, here are the 5 things I'm going to do directly for you? Does she need to be doing more of that?
Well, she'll be doing some of that tomorrow once she'll put forth her economic plan. But people like to have a connection to whoever is running for office, that they share their experience, that they understand their lives. And I think that's what she is establishing. But I do think that the one issue in terms of the cost of living, people want to hear something very specific. She is saying that in that ad, but also tomorrow in her economic plan. I have no complaint about how she is going forward.
Oh, not a complaint, but do you think that she needs to be mixing it up more, having a press conference, more town halls, just out and about more? Oprah's the queen, obviously, but that's not a tough interview sitting down with Oprah. Oprah's endorsed her. She spoke at the convention.
Dude, when does Trump do a tough interview, right? He did the NABJ, okay? He refused to answer questions, had a racist tirade, and then the media let him off the hook the whole time. Like, bro, what the is he doing, dude?
What we're going to do, though, is make sure that we own the ground to get out every vote to elect her. That the message that is shaped is non-menacing, that it's uniting, all progressive and bold, but non-menacing, and that we have the resources, the 3 M's, the mobilization, message, money to get the job done. She will be herself. She will take it forward in the way that she has confidence to connect with the American people, show the empathy that she has. But make no mistake, I know her well, as you know. She is a person of, I know her personally, and she is a person of goodness, of deep faith, and that's why she cares so much about people and their well-being. Officially, I know her. Policy-wise, she has strength. Mm-hmm. She knows the issues. She knows the strategy. She's eloquent in her presentation.
Well, I know she has your vote, but it's neck and neck. It is. I've never seen an election this tight at this point. Usually somebody has an edge at this point. That could change, but it's neck and neck. In the battlegrounds, it's neck and neck. So I do wonder, it seems like she's running kind of cautiously, and I wonder, does she need to take more risks?
Well, I would say, since you said, she has my vote, I wasn't speaking about myself, because that's one vote. I'm talking about, I was in 3 states last week, not counting California and Washington, where I began then. And the enthusiasm out there is great for her. Mm-hmm. But again, it takes us to a point, and we have to get those other votes.
Dude, he's being like a Twitch chatter. You know what I'm saying? He is, bro. Tapper is. He's totally doing that whole like, oh, aren't you concerned? Aren't you concerned that, why won't you help us shred Kamala Harris? Here, obviously, the whole purpose of this interview is for me to get you to admit that Kamala is making a mistake so we can then run 24/7 stories about how, the former House leader has turned their back on Kamala, right? That's exactly like what he's doing here with this bullshit interview. He's looking for the soundbite, bro, so they can just say, oh, Pelosi loses faith in Kamala Harris. Campaign is tanking. She knows what he's up to. She fucking knows. Dude, he has turned so smarmy. Tapper has. He really has, dude. I don't know what his deal is, bro. A lot of these people that used to do serious journalism, it seems like now they're like playing absolutely indirectly saying that Kamala has no plan, or she's not like taking her message to the people, or she's even with that opening cut up where they never showed her plan. And they literally just show her talking about the stuff where she personalizes herself. But Kamala Harris talks about, people having aspirations and dreams. She talks about her middle-class upbringing. Donald Trump talks about, rapists and murderers and, fucking up lies about black legal immigrants, spreading racist diatribes and shit. And so it's pretty up that they are absolutely focusing a lens on trying to disseminate this faulty view of Kamala Harris.
I'm sure that you hear from progressive voters, Democratic voters who say, as I hear from them on social media, the media made such a big deal out of Joe Biden's alleged cognitive problems. Why don't they talk about Donald Trump's cognitive problems? Well, Donald Trump talked about that just a second ago, and I want to get your reaction. Let's run that clip.
They laugh at us all over the world. They're laughing at us. And you know what they're really laughing at? Kamala, because they can't believe that she's going to be president. They can't believe. You talk about cognitive problems? She's got bigger cognitive problems than he has, in my opinion.
Donald Trump saying that Kamala Harris has bigger cognitive problems than Joe Biden.
Why would you even cover that? This is a person who's not on the level. He is their nominee for president. He is incompetent. Let's not even talk about the silliness of it all and the weirdness of it all. And the
Dude, good for her, dude.
assault on women that it is. We're not going to talk issues. Incompetent. The only thing he did as president, when he had the majority, was to pass a bill that gave a tax cut that gave 83 of the benefits to the top 1%, adding $2 trillion to the national debt. The worst job creation record of anybody president since Herbert Hoover.
Because of COVID, yes.
Well, it's not because of COVID. We put $3 trillion into the economy when he was president, working with and the Congress working together. We put $3 trillion into the economy. So don't blame it on. And what did he do with COVID? Denial and delay, responsible for thousands and thousands of people dying. So if you're going to forgive his job record because of COVID, make sure you attribute many of those deaths to him as well.
Not forgiving anything, just noting the content.
Incompetent. Forget silly and crazy and crooked and all the rest. Incompetent.
Let me just say, why do I run that clip? I run that clip because that's the Republican presidential nominee, and I thought you might have a reaction to it.
Sure.
Are you worried about what might happen when Congress meets in January 6, 2025? Under House Speaker Johnson, if he is the speaker. And I don't know what the results are going to be, but let's assume that he's still the speaker.
Tapper is such a nip,
Well,
bro.
first of all, Hakeem will be speaker. Second of all, if the Republicans win, they have their own fight on their hands, and that may be what he's campaigning for there. But the fact is that the government, the U.S. federal government, has declared that a national special security day. So there will be increased security around the Capitol at that time.
So the mob won't be in the room.
Well, nobody could ever foresee that the President of the United States, disrespecting the office that he held, would incite an insurrection in the Capitol, assaulting our Capitol, our symbol of democracy to the world, assaulting our Constitution, which called for the peaceful transfer of power, and assaulting the Congress of the United States violently, going after me with a bullet in my head and a noose for his own vice president, who would not follow his instruction to ignore the Constitution and not honor his oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
See, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about this, is how can Donald Trump how can any news media cover him without exclusively talking about his behavior around January 6th and the insurrection and his adjudicated sexual abuser tag? This guy tried to hang his previous vice president. Every time J.D. Vance opens his mouth, the only question they should be asking him is, why are you running with the man who tried to kill his previous vice president? Don't you think that this automatically disqualifies you guys from even being able to run in this race? Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? That should literally be the first sentence of every headline. We can't even take this guy seriously because he literally tried to overthrow the fucking government. And what they're doing is they're presenting him in a way of like, oh, he's not bad at all. They want to give him another shot at like overthrowing the government. And how fucked up is that? That's like so fucked up, bro. Dude, she seems confident. She does. She looks pretty confident right there in this interview, despite Jake being a fucking shit kicker. I mean, this whole interview from the very beginning, Jake Tapper was like, ooh, Kamala Harris isn't coming through as a candidate. She's not getting her message across. She doesn't have specific policy details. When every one of those interviews that they showed a clip from, she gave specific policy details. He could have literally just showed her specific policy details. But what does Trump say? I'm going to lower your energy by 50%, 70%. That's what he says. How? They never even ask how. They just say, oh, he's better on the economy. How? Trade war? Manufacturing jobs left? bungled COVID, 6 bankruptcies, squandered $500 million gifted by his dad. His stock has dropped like 80% in the last 3 months. How is he good on the economy? He added $8 trillion to the deficit. He gave away free money to the wealthiest people on the planet. The f*** is he talking about? Good on the economy. Donald Trump's 7th bankruptcy is going to be the goddamn country if he gets in office again. The guy is horrible with the economy. He was a fucking disaster. Unless you're, make more than like $10 million. Then he was a fucking ATM machine where the money that you pull out belongs to all the fucking poor people. Dude, he stole classified documents. He didn't do shit. Now he's saying something about a 200% tariff on John Deere. Yeah, your food's going to be real cheap when a tractor costs fucking $18,000 more, right? Yeah, I wonder how much your Wheaties are going to cost, right? When a tractor goes up by $20,000, the price of a tractor is more than a Lamborghini.